Super Bowl Sunday without the food. We have Courtney Johnson here, all stylish as usual. You look very nice today.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I am representing one of my favorite moms, someone who I have been told I have familiar traits with, which is Bevvy Goldberg from the ABC show The Goldbergs.
Yes.
And she is always over the top with her clothes, her hair, her food, and her cheeses. Everything's rich and decadent, and she's just a fabulous mom, so I love to represent all the different styles. So what we're going to do today is, Bevvy loves a good theme and so do I. So one of the things that we're going to start with, so we have, you know, obviously the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. So representing the two different towns, now the first thing we're going to work on is Kansas City is a big barbecue town,
right? And
so one of their famous sides is this cheesy corn. So I made that, but then I thought, well, how are we going to get that in? And you know, so I thought, well, let's do a layer dip with that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull out the cheesy corn, and I will put the directions for that linked in onto the page. And so I already have this pre-made and the cheese broiled on top. So what we are going to do is we're going to cover that with Kansas City's famous Skyline chili, and we're going to heat that up. And then Kansas City Skyline chili is typically served right at the end with I have some diced raw green or sweet onions. So I'll let you. So here's the Skyline chili right here. So this is from Walmart. You can find it in many places here. It's got a very unique flavor. Typically, if you want to open that up, then you can start spreading that on.
Sure.
You may not be able to fit the whole can. But an unusual thing, and even in the public schools in Kansas City, they serve Kansas City style chili, and they also have they serve it with cinnamon rolls, which is very unusual.
Yeah, I wouldn't think
My daughter said that's disgusting. But here, you know, so that's kind of a traditional pairing.
Just smooth it out?
Yep, you can just spread it out, and then we'll pop that back in and start warming that up.
Okay.
And then we'll just top it. The cheese doesn't get melted on there. They just pile on the cheese.
Okay.
So another thing that they have obviously going on in Kansas City, of course, is barbecue and things like that. But then, of course, we have Philadelphia, and actually the Goldberg family is in from that state. Let's see, that's a little warm. There we go. And they, of course, are known for the Philly steak and cheese. So what I'm going to have you do is we'll put this down here, and Becca, I'm going to have you cut these open horizontally.
Okay.
So while she's doing that, I'll kind of explain to you here what I have as far as dessert goes. So also in Philadelphia, some of the things that they're known for, and you can look up, there's some great articles on the internet if you want to really have a nice, how can I say this, a really nice, thoughtfully curated menu for your Super Bowl. So in Philadelphia, some of the things they're known for allegedly is pound cake. So this is a pound cake based cookie, and then they have the Goldberg peanut chews, and normally I can find those, but I wasn't able to. I was not able to find them last night, and so what I did is I did paydays all chopped up, and they're also known in Philadelphia for soft pretzels, and their soft pretzels are folded into a figure 8, and they're a little moist on top, so the salt kind of dissolves. But to get that element in there, I put some pretzels in here, and then the chocolate to get that chocolate that's normally on the outside of the Goldberg peanut chews.
Right.
So these are nice themed cookies for that.
They look delicious.
So you have this all set. So now what I'm going to do is we are going to pull out the steak.
Okay.
Now I did my best to try to keep this nice and tender for you guys and still be mobile to go to the studio this morning. So we're just gonna I'm gonna pull this out here. What I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you put the beef all over here.
Okay.
We're just gonna cram that in there. There we go. There we go.
It smells really good.
Thank you. Yeah, so the Super Bowl this year obviously is in New Orleans, and so hence the beads.
Yes,
and
Mardi Gras.
Bevvy just loves to be blingy, and so I was like, well, perfect.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I think the hardest part about this day was doing Bevvy's hair.
Okay, if that was the hardest part,
Yes.
not a bad day.
Yeah, so I made sure I did a lot of prepping last night. So yeah, go ahead and I'm going to help you scoop some out.
Okay.
just because we're on TV here.
Yes.
And we're going to get a little of that juice in there. So they use, I believe it is, I want to say thin cuts of ribeye. So now what we're going to do is there's a couple ways to have, I figured not everybody here may like onions, so I'm going to put the onions on the layer dip.
Okay.
So we're going to kind of treat that like a traditional layer dip, but it's going to kind of have a little bit of a, you know, meat and corn sort of Mexican flavor. So this is, so they use Cheese Whiz, so this is considered stadium style cheese dip. So I'm just going to have you kind of pour this over the top.
Okay.
And then we're just going to,
Here, you want me to try?
there we go. All right. So yeah, if you want to pour that over the top, and you can just use that spoon.
Okay. Oh, it's coming out
So
nice.
You usually have the option of Cheese Whiz or I think Provolone or American. And I just did the Cheese Whiz. And then sometimes it's, they say, I think it's wit or without, and that is sauteed onions and different things like that. So I just left the onions out of it here. Oh, that's good. And then we'll just top them off, and we'll just heat that all up. And then what I'm gonna have her do is cut this across, and then we're gonna have 9 servings, so it'll be like a slider. They're gonna be a little messy, but typically a steak and cheese sandwich kind of is.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. All right.
Perfect.
So I'll have you top those.
Okay.
And then we're gonna throw that back in. And then we can finish up our dip. I'm just getting faster and faster every time.
Yes. There we go.
Perfect.
Who knows if it was the exact bun it came with, but
That's okay. Bevvy would say, we don't care what you do with your buns, hon. So I'm going to pull this out, and we will get this in here. These fit perfectly in here. And I doubled them up because you don't want to have anything buckling, especially that dip. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull this out. And then what you're going to do is top this with cheese. We'll let that heat up a little bit.
Okay.
And you're just going to just sprinkle some cheese over the top and some onions.
Okay.
And then I will grab these chips. So I figured we almost would serve this like a layer dip. And then if you'd like, we can probably use this spoon because it was for the chili for the onions, or you can just sprinkle some over the top. You can kind of see here on the can how they kind of, well, they don't have any onions on theirs, but on the internet, that's how they have.
Okay.
And everything's true if it's on the internet, right?
Exactly.
All of it, even if it's a contradiction.
All right, and then just sprinkle on here?
Yep.
All of it, or?
Just a little bit,
just a
yeah,
little,
yeah, yeah. Or if you can use tongs too.
Okay, I was gonna
That's
say,
fine. You
my
can
hands
use your
are clean, I promise.
Yes,
I washed them. There, just get that a little bit.
Yeah, so I found out quite a few interesting things about both places as far as food goes. So it's pretty interesting to learn what is popular in different parts of the country. I just find that very, very interesting. Yes.
Things that we've never even heard of sometimes.
Yeah, just really weird traditions and really weird pairings, and you know, things that we think maybe initially wouldn't go well together. I'm sure there's things that we probably eat up here in the UP where people are like, you eat what?
Right.
And you put what on that? So yeah, so that's how I would serve that.
Okay.
So for the sake of television here, we'll just let that warm up a little bit, but if you would like to dish some of this out, we'll give you this spoon here.
Okay.
You can try that in the dip, and then we'll just give that just a second more.
Okay.
Oh, there goes my decorations. I needed to have that NOLA fabulousness going on here. So there's your chips here.
All right, let's get
You know, a cool thing I've learned about chips is if you leave the bag closed and then you cut the bag like this, and then across, the bag opens up, and you don't need a bowl. You can't close it back up again, but if you've got a big crowd, you probably know they're going to get eaten, so it would be okay. So, and then I will pull this other thing out. Pull out those sandwiches.
That is very
And I
good.
actually will cut that for you so you can eat, because that's what Bevvy would do too. She'd let her kids eat,
Yes.
and she would just handle everything and smother. They call her smother instead of
Right.
mother. So we have this here. So pretty fast and easy, really. I mean, the cheesy corn was relatively easy to make. It's very, very rich. I think, you know, let's say, because I like to repurpose things. If you had leftover cheesy corn, if you did the size batch that I'm going to post, use half of it for the dip and then either serve it as a side with some barbecue.
Yes.
Or I'm going to turn mine, I think, into a soup. I'm just going to dilute it down. So this is what I'm going to do here. Let's try to cut these. I think I'm going to go like that. So.
All right, I'm going to pull out the beautiful cheesy mess. There we go.
And there's some really great guides on YouTube, you know, for
Right.
people to kind of get a feel of how to cook those. They cook them on a flat top.
All right, this won't be pretty, but I'm going to take a bite.
And it's in your hair.
It is.
There you go.
Wow. That is really good, Courtney. Thank you
you.
so much. And yes, we'll have all those details on our website, myupnow.com, with the link to Courtney's page. But yes, I'm going to finish up eating this. Courtney, thank you so much for being
You're
here
welcome.
today.
Thank you again for having me.
Yes, and we'll be right back with more My UP Mornings after the break.
Thank you.